My daughter-in-law sneered at dinner. "You don't get to tell us how to live. This isn't your house." Everyone laughed. I smiled and said, "You're right, it isn't anymore." When they got home, the deed was already transferred. Their faces when they realized to whom. Before we continue, comment where you're watching from. And subscribe to the channel. We'd love to see how far our stories are reaching. My name is Ruth. I'm 71 years old, and what I'm about to tell you will change the way you look at your own family forever. That dinner happened 3 days ago, but the story really begins much earlier, in a life I built brick by brick, sacrifice by sacrifice, lie by lie. For 43 years, I've lived in Charleston, South Carolina, in a modest apartment in a middle-class neighborhood. I shop at thrift stores. I clip coupons. I drive a 12-year-old Honda Civic with a dent on the passenger door that I never bothered to fix. To anyone looking at me, I'm just another elderly widow living on a fixed income, counting pennies to make it through the month. That's exactly what I wanted them to think. My husband, Robert, died 8 years ago. Heart attack. One minute he was reading the newspaper at the breakfast table. The next he was gone. We had been married for 35 years. He was an accountant, quiet, methodical, the kind of man who never raised his voice or made a scene. People thought we were comfortable, but not wealthy. Another middle-class couple who worked hard and saved modestly. They had no idea. Robert and I made a decision early in our marriage. We would live well below our means. We would never flash our wealth. We would teach our sons, Christopher and Jason, the value of hard work, not the comfort of inherited money. So we lived in that modest apartment, drove used cars, bought clothes on sale, and we watched. We watched to see what kind of men our sons would become. Christopher, my oldest, is 48 now. He was always the sensitive one, the one who cried during sad movies, who brought home stray cats, who wanted to save the world. He married Melissa 6 years ago. She was 39 then, beautiful in that sharp, calculated way, blonde hair always perfectly styled, designer handbags she claimed were knockoffs, a smile that never quite reached her eyes. From the beginning, I saw her. I saw the way she looked at our apartment with barely concealed disgust. I saw how she steered conversations toward money, asking careful questions about my pension, about Robert's life insurance, about whether I owned the apartment or rented. I saw her calculating, always calculating. Jason, my younger son, is 43. He's the opposite of Christopher. Cold, practical. He moved to Atlanta right after college and calls maybe twice a year. Christmas and my birthday, if he remembers. He's not cruel, just absent. To him, I'm an obligation he checks off a list. Visit mom. Done. Back to his life. The breaking point came 6 months ago. Christopher lost his job. Some corporate restructuring, they said. He'd been making $85,000 a year as a marketing manager. Suddenly, nothing. They burned through their savings in 2 months. Then Melissa started visiting me more often. At first it was sweet. She'd bring coffee from Starbucks, sit with me, ask about my day. But I noticed things. She'd open my mail when I went to the bathroom. She'd peek into my bedroom, counting my belongings with her eyes. She'd sigh dramatically and say things like, "Ruth, don't you get lonely in this big place all by yourself? Wouldn't a senior community be so much easier?" Then Christopher started echoing her words. "Mom, maybe Melissa's right. You're getting older. What if you fall and no one finds you for days? What if you forget to pay a bill? We're just worried about you." Worried. That word became their favorite weapon. Worried about my safety. Worried about my memory. Worried about my ability to manage my own life. What they were really worried about was the money they assumed I didn't have, and how quickly they were running out of their own. 3 weeks ago, Melissa suggested I sign a power of attorney. "Just in case something happens, Ruth. So Christopher can help you with bills and medical decisions. It's what responsible people do at your age." She said it with such concern, such fake warmth, that I almost felt sorry for her. I said I'd think about it. That's when the pressure really started. Christopher called every day. Melissa visited twice a week, each time with a new story about an elderly person who'd been scammed or hurt because they didn't have family help. Jason even called, clearly coached, to say, "Mom, Just sign the damn papers so we know you're taken care of. Then came my 71st birthday dinner. The dinner where everything changed. Melissa insisted on hosting it at their apartment. Let me do this for you, Ruth. You've done so much for everyone else. Christopher nodded eagerly. Even Jason flew in from Atlanta, which should have been my first warning sign. I arrived at 6 p.m. wearing my usual thrift store cardigan and polyester pants. Melissa opened the door in a designer dress I knew cost at least $400. Her smile was bright, her hug was tight, and her eyes were already counting the inheritance she thought she'd get. Dinner was pot roast, my favorite. Melissa made a big show of how she'd cooked all day. The table was set with their wedding china. Candles flickered. It looked perfect. It felt like a trap. We ate. We made small talk. Then Melissa poured wine and the conversation shifted. Ruth? She began, her voice dripping with false sweetness. Christopher and I have been talking. We think it's time you consider moving somewhere more manageable. There's a lovely senior community just outside town. You'd have so much help. You wouldn't have to worry about anything. Christopher jumped in. Mom, you're not getting any younger. That apartment is too much for you. The stairs, the maintenance, the bills. Let us help you. Jason nodded, sipping his wine. Makes sense, Mom. You should simplify your life. I looked at them. My sons. The boys I'd raised, sacrificed for, loved unconditionally. And I saw strangers. Strangers who wanted to warehouse me so they could take control of my life. I'm fine where I am, I said quietly. Melissa's smile tightened. Ruth, don't be stubborn. We're trying to help you. You can't keep living like this, pinching pennies, wearing clothes from Goodwill. It's embarrassing. That word. Embarrassing. As if my life was something to be ashamed of. Melissa, I said, my voice still calm. I appreciate your concern, but I don't need help. She laughed. Actually laughed. Ruth, honey, look at yourself. You're 71 years old, living like you're broke. Christopher tells me you can barely afford your medications. You don't get to tell us how to live. This isn't your house anymore. The room went silent. Christopher looked down at his plate. Jason smirked. Melissa's eyes glittered with triumph, and something inside me snapped. I smiled. A real smile this time. You're absolutely right, Melissa. This isn't my house. You're very perceptive. The pounding on my door started at 7 in the morning. Bang, bang, bang. Mom, open up. I know you're in there. Christopher. His voice was different. Not the careful, rehearsed tone from last night. This was raw, desperate, angry. I sat up in bed, looked at the clock. 7:14. I'd slept better than I had in months. No nightmares. No anxiety. Just the cold, clear sleep of someone who'd finally stopped lying to themselves. Bang, bang, bang. Ruth, we need to talk. This is serious. I walked to the door in my bathrobe. Didn't open it. Christopher, it's 7 in the morning. I don't care what time it is. Open this door. Through the peephole, I could see him. Red face, wrinkled shirt. He hadn't slept. Good. What do you want? What do I want? His voice cracked. What the hell was that last night? You embarrassed us in front of Jason, in front of Melissa. You just walked out like we're nothing to you. Isn't that what I am to you? Nothing? Silence. Then, that's not fair. Fair? I laughed. Actually laughed. Christopher, go home. We'll talk later. No, we're talking now. Melissa is beside herself. She cried all night. You hurt her feelings. I opened the door. Just a crack. Looked him in the eyes. She called my life embarrassing. She laughed at me, in front of my own sons. And you said nothing. He blinked. Mom, she didn't mean it like that. She's just worried about you. We all are. No, you're worried about yourselves. Now leave. I can't leave. We need to discuss your financial situation, your will, your plans. My financial situation is none of your business. His face changed. The false concern dropped. Something colder appeared. Actually, it is. If you're making irrational decisions, if you're not capable of managing your own affairs anymore, we have a legal right to intervene. There it was, the threat, wrapped in legal language, but still a threat. Christopher, if you don't leave right now, I'm calling the police. Fine, but this isn't over, Mom. Not even close. He turned and walked away. I closed the door, locked it, put the chain on. Then I called George Miller. He answered on the second ring. George Miller, elder law. Mr. Miller, my name is Ruth. Ruth Anderson. I need your help. 2 hours later, I was sitting in George's office, small, cluttered, smelling of old books and coffee. He was maybe 60, gray hair, kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses, the kind of man who actually listened. I told him everything. The dinner, the pressure, the power of attorney, the threats. He took notes, nodded, didn't interrupt. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair. Mrs. Anderson, what you're describing is textbook elder financial exploitation. The pattern is classic. Isolation, pressure, threats of incompetency. It usually ends with the family gaining control of the elder's assets and draining them. Can they really declare me incompetent? They can try. They'd need to file a petition with the court, get a psychiatrist to evaluate you, prove that you're unable to manage your affairs. It's expensive and difficult, but not impossible. My hands shook. I gripped the armrests of the chair. What can I do? First, we document everything. Every conversation, every threat, every manipulation. Second, we get you evaluated by an independent psychiatrist who can testify to your mental competence. Third, we review your financial situation and make sure everything is protected. There's something you should know, I said quietly, about my financial situation. I told him about the trust, about the $3.2 million, about the test Robert and I had designed. His eyebrows went up. They have no idea? None, he smiled. A small, professional smile. Mrs. Anderson, this changes things considerably. You're not a vulnerable widow. You're a woman of significant means being targeted by her own family. We can work with this. I left George's office feeling lighter, not happy, but armed, protected. When I got home, there was a car parked in front of my building, not Christopher's. A silver BMW, new, expensive, Melissa. She got out when she saw me. Designer sunglasses, perfect hair despite the early hour. She'd changed since the wedding. 6 years ago, she'd dressed well but modestly. Now she looked like she belonged in a country club, all on Christopher's maxed-out credit cards. Ruth, thank God, I've been waiting for you. Melissa, I have nothing to say to you. Please, just 5 minutes. I need to apologize. I stopped, looked at her. Apologize? Last night was awful. I was out of line. I let my worry get the better of me. Christopher and I were just so concerned about you living alone. The script was perfect. The delivery was flawless. If I didn't know better, I'd almost believe her. Where's Christopher? At home. I came alone, woman to woman, mother-in-law to daughter-in-law. Please, can we talk inside? Every instinct screamed no, but I wanted to see what she'd try next. 5 minutes. We went up to my apartment. I didn't offer her coffee, didn't invite her to sit. She sat anyway, on my old couch, crossing her legs like she owned the place. Ruth, I know we got off on the wrong foot last night, but I want you to understand where I'm coming from. Christopher lost his job. We're struggling. And seeing you live in this apartment alone, struggling to make ends meet, it breaks my heart. I'm not struggling. Of course you are. Christopher told me about your pension. $1,400 a month. That's nothing in today's economy. Your rent alone must eat up most of that. Interesting. She thought she knew my finances. Thought she had it all figured out. How I manage my money is my business. But that's just it. You shouldn't have to manage. You should be relaxing, enjoying your golden years. Let us help you. Help me how? She pulled papers from her purse, the same power of attorney from before. Just sign this. Let Christopher handle your bills, your medical appointments. You won't have to worry about anything. And if I don't? Her smile tightened. Just a fraction. Then we'll have to explore other options, legal options, for your own protection. Get out. Ruth, be reasonable. Get out of my home. Now. She stood up. The mask slipped for just a second. I saw real anger flash across her face. You're making a huge mistake. Christopher and I are trying to help you, but if you refuse our help, if you continue to make irrational decisions, we'll have no choice but to seek legal guardianship. Try it. My lawyer will destroy you in court. She froze. Lawyer? George Miller, elder law specialist. He's very good. You should look him up. She left without another word. That afternoon, I did something I hadn't done in years. I called my friend Linda. Linda was 73, a retired nurse, sharp as a tack. We'd met at a church bake sale 15 years ago and stayed friends. She lived alone too, in a small house across town. Ruth, it's been ages. How are you? Linda, I need a favor. Can I stay with you for a few days? Silence. Then, what's wrong? I told her. Not everything. Not about the money, but about Christopher and Melissa. About the pressure, the threats. Those bastards, she said. Her voice was steel. You come right now. Bring whatever you need. Stay as long as you want. Are you sure? Ruth, I've got 3 empty bedrooms and enough stubbornness for both of us. Come. I packed a bag. Clothes, toiletries, documents, important documents. Then I went to my closet, reached to the back, pulled out a locked metal box. Inside was everything Robert had left me. The trust documents, the will, bank statements, property deeds, letters. One letter I'd never opened. It had my name on it in Robert's handwriting. Open only if they fail the test. I put the box in my bag. Linda's house smelled like cinnamon and old books. Comfortable, safe. She made tea while I unpacked in the guest room. When I came down, she handed me a mug. So, tell me the truth. How bad is it? Bad. Are they after your money? I laughed. Bitter. They think I don't have any. But you do? I nodded. How much? Enough. She sipped her tea. Good. Then let's make them regret every second of what they've done to you. That night, alone in Linda's guest room, I opened Robert's letter. His handwriting was shaky. He must have written it when he was sick, before the heart attack. My dearest Ruth, if you're reading this, it means our sons have failed. They've proven themselves unworthy of the legacy we built. They've seen you as nothing more than a bank account to be drained. I'm sorry. Sorry I won't be there to protect you. Sorry we raised men who value money over love. But you are stronger than you know. You survived poverty. You survived my death. You will survive this. The money is yours. All of it. Do with it as you see fit. Give it to them. Donate it. Burn it. I don't care. Just promise me one thing. Don't let them break you. You are the love of my life. You always will be. Forgive them or don't, but free yourself. All my love, Robert, I cried. First time since the funeral. Not from sadness. From relief. Robert had known, had prepared me, had trusted me to make the right choice, and I knew what that choice was. The next morning, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Mrs. Anderson, this is Patricia Coleman from Adult Protective Services. We received a report that you may be in a vulnerable situation. I'd like to schedule a home visit to assess your well-being. My blood went cold. Who filed the report? I'm not at liberty to say, but the complainant expressed concern about your mental state and your living conditions. I see. Can we schedule a time? Perhaps tomorrow afternoon? Of course, but I should inform you that I'm currently staying with a friend, Linda Morrison. I can give you her address. Pause. You're not at your residence? No. I felt unsafe there. Another pause. Longer. Mrs. Anderson, why did you feel unsafe? And I told her. Everything. When I finished, her voice had changed. Colder. Professional. Mrs. Anderson, what you're describing sounds like elder abuse. Would you be willing to file a formal complaint? Not yet, but I want this conversation documented. Understood. I'll be in touch. She hung up. Linda stood in the doorway. They called APS on you? Melissa, has to be. What are you going to do? I looked at Robert's letter, still on the nightstand. I'm going to free myself. Patricia Coleman from APS arrived at Linda's house exactly at 2 p.m. She was younger than I expected, maybe 40, with tired eyes and a clipboard. Mrs. Anderson, I'm Patricia. Thank you for agreeing to meet. We sat in Linda's living room. Linda made herself scarce, but I knew she was listening from the kitchen. Patricia opened her folder. I need to ask you some questions. They may seem invasive, but I need honest answers. Ask, do you know what day it is? Wednesday, March 27th, 2025. Who is the current president? I answered. She asked more questions. Memory tests, cognitive assessments. Questions about my daily routine, my finances, my health. After 30 minutes, she closed her folder. Mrs. Anderson, you are clearly of sound mind. In fact, your cognitive function is excellent for your age. The complaint filed against you appears to be unfounded. Can you tell me who filed it? Your daughter-in-law, Melissa Anderson. She claimed you were experiencing dementia, living in squalor, and unable to care for yourself. None of that appears to be true. It's not. I'm going to document this as an unsubstantiated claim. However, I should warn you. If they escalate, if they file for guardianship, you'll need legal representation and medical documentation. I have both. She nodded, satisfied. Good. Mrs. Anderson, you're not the first elder I've seen in this situation. Family members who want control. It rarely ends well for anyone. Protect yourself. After she left, Linda came in with bourbon. It's 2:30 in the afternoon, I said. And you just survived a weaponized welfare check. Drink. I drank. The next morning, I decided to go back to my apartment, get more clothes, check my mail. Linda insisted on coming with me. When we got there, I knew immediately something was wrong. The door was slightly open. Not much, just an inch. But I always locked it. Stay here, Linda said. I'm calling the police. No, I need to see. I pushed the door open. My apartment looked like a tornado had hit it. Drawers pulled out, papers everywhere, couch cushions thrown on the floor. Even my closet had been emptied, clothes in piles. They'd been looking for something. Documents, bank statements, anything they could use. Linda grabbed my arm. Ruth, we're leaving. Now! But I walked to my bedroom, to the closet. The metal box was gone. Of course it was. But they didn't know I'd already taken it to Linda's. What they'd stolen was an empty decoy. I almost smiled. Ruth, come on. We left. I called the police from Linda's car, filed a report, gave them Christopher's name. The officer on the phone sounded bored. Ma'am, without proof of who did it, there's not much we can do. Was anything valuable taken? No. Then it's just vandalism. We'll file the report. That's it. Just vandalism. My home violated, my privacy destroyed, and they couldn't do anything. That evening, there was a knock on Linda's door. I looked through the peephole. A teenage girl, blonde hair in a ponytail, backpack, Emma, Christopher's daughter, my granddaughter. I opened the door. Grandma Ruth? Her voice was small, scared. Emma, what are you doing here? I need to talk to you, please. They don't know I'm here. I let her in. Linda brought her hot chocolate. Emma sat on the couch, hands wrapped around the mug. How did you find me? I heard Mom on the phone. She told someone you were staying at a friend's house. I remembered you talking about Mrs. Morrison once. I looked up her address. Smart kid. Emma, what's going on? She looked at me with Christopher's eyes, but there was something in them he'd lost years ago. Honesty. Mom and Dad are planning something. I heard them talking last night. They said something about your inheritance, about selling it, moving to California, starting over. What inheritance? I don't know, but Mom kept saying, once we get control of Ruth's money, and Dad just agreed with everything, like he always does. My chest tightened. What else did they say? Mom said they need to act fast, before you change your will or give everything away. She said you're not thinking clearly, that you need help managing your affairs. The same script, over and over. Emma, why are you telling me this? Her eyes filled with tears. Because it's wrong. You're not crazy. You're not incompetent. And they're treating you like you're already dead. Like you're just money. She started crying. Real crying. Not the manipulative tears I'd seen from her mother. I held her. My granddaughter, 14 years old, caught between loyalty to her parents and basic human decency. Does your father know you're here? No. He'd kill me. Then you need to go home before they notice. Grandma, I don't want to go home. I don't want to be part of this. I know, sweetheart, but right now, you need to stay safe. Keep your head down. Don't let them know what you told me. She nodded, wiping her eyes. Linda drove her home. Dropped her a block away so her parents wouldn't see. When Linda came back, she found me at the kitchen table with Robert's metal box open in front of me. You okay? No. Inside the box was everything. The trust documents showing $3,200,000 in assets. Property deeds for rental homes in Florida and Arizona. Stock portfolios. Bank statements. And at the bottom, another letter from Robert. Different handwriting. Stronger. Ruth, by now you've read my first letter. You know the truth about our test, but there's something else you need to know. I was sick for months before I died. The doctor said I had maybe a year. I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to suffer watching me deteriorate. I set up this trust to protect you, not just from poverty, but from them, our sons. I saw the signs even then. Christopher's entitlement, Jason's coldness. I knew that when I died, they'd see you as nothing but an inheritance to be claimed. So I made the money invisible. I made you appear poor. I gave you a test to give them. They failed, didn't they? Don't feel guilty. You gave them every chance to prove their love was real. They chose money over you. That's on them. Use this money however you want. Live, travel, help others, or make them pay for what they've done. The choice is yours. I love you. Always have. Always will. Robert. I read it 3 times. Robert had known, had seen their greed years before I wanted to admit it, had protected me even from beyond the grave. Linda read over my shoulder. So, what are you going to do? I folded the letter carefully, put it back in the box. I'm going to visit Robert's grave. I need to talk to him. At 9 p.m.? He won't mind. The cemetery was empty, cold. My footsteps echoed on the path. Robert's grave was simple. Just his name, dates, and beloved husband. I sat on the grass next to it, didn't care that it was damp. Hi, baby. It's been a while. The stone didn't answer, but I felt him there anyway. You were right. About the boys. About everything. I didn't want to see it. Didn't want to believe my own sons could be so cruel. A breeze moved through the trees. They broke into my apartment, filed false reports with APS, threatened me with guardianship, all for money they don't even know exists. I touched the cold stone. Robert, I don't know if I can forgive them. Christopher, maybe. He's weak, not evil. But Melissa? She's poison. And Jason doesn't care enough to even pretend. Silence. Tell me what to do. And somehow, in that quiet cemetery, I knew. Robert had already told me, in both letters, free yourself. I stood up, brushed grass off my pants. Okay, baby. I'll free myself, but my way. I walked back to Linda's car, pulled out my phone, called George Miller. George, it's Ruth. I need you to draft a new will, tomorrow, and I need you to send a letter to my sons. They have 60 days to meet certain conditions. If they do, they get part of the inheritance. If they don't, they get nothing. What kind of conditions? I smiled into the darkness. The kind that will show me who they really are. George's letter arrived at Christopher's apartment on a Tuesday morning via certified mail. I know because the tracking showed someone signed for it at 9:17 a.m. My phone rang at 9:32. Christopher. I didn't answer. It rang again. And again. 12 times in 15 minutes. Then Melissa called. Then Jason from Atlanta. I turned my phone off and drank my coffee. Linda watched from across the kitchen table. You're enjoying this? I'm not enjoying anything. I'm just done being their victim. At noon, I turned my phone back on. 43 missed calls, 27 voicemails, 62 text messages. I read the texts first. Christopher. Mom, call me now. Christopher. This letter can't be real. Christopher. You have $2 million? Christopher. Why did you lie to us? Melissa. Ruth, we need to talk immediately. Melissa. This is insane. You've been pretending to be poor. Jason. What the hell, Mom? Jason. Call me back. I deleted them all without responding. The voicemails were better. I put them on speaker so Linda could hear. Christopher's voice shaking. Mom, I got a letter from your lawyer. It says you have over $3 million. It says we have 60 days to meet certain conditions or we get nothing. This has to be a mistake. Please call me. Melissa's voice sharp. Ruth, I don't know what game you're playing, but this is cruel. We've been worried sick about you, and now we find out you've been lying about your financial situation this entire time? We deserve an explanation. Call me back. Jason's voice, cold. Mom, got the lawyer's letter. Interesting timing. We should talk about this. Soon. The last voicemail was Christopher again, crying, Mom, please. I know we messed up. I know the dinner was bad. But you're my mother. You can't just cut us out like this. We're family. Linda whistled low. Family. Now he remembers. My phone buzzed. A text from Emma. Grandma, are you okay? Mom is freaking out. I replied, I'm fine, sweetheart. Stay out of it. This is between me and your parents. That afternoon, Linda answered a knock at her door. Christopher stood there looking like he hadn't slept. Melissa was behind him, arms crossed. Is my mother here? Linda didn't move from the doorway. Maybe. We need to see her. She doesn't want to see you. Melissa stepped forward. Listen, lady, I don't know who you think you are, but Ruth is family, and we have a right to speak with her. Actually, you don't. This is my house, and I'm telling you to leave. I appeared behind Linda. It's okay. Let them in. Christopher's face flooded with relief. Mom, thank God. We need to talk about this letter. We sat in Linda's living room. Melissa perched on the edge of the couch like she might catch something. Christopher kept wringing his hands. Is it true? He asked. Do you really have $3 million? $3.2 million. Yes. And you've had it this whole time, since Dad died. Robert set up the trust before he died. It's been there 8 years. Melissa's voice was ice. So you've been lying to us? Playing poor? Letting us worry about you? Making us feel guilty for not helping you financially? I never asked for your help. You offered because you thought I was desperate. This is insane. Melissa stood up, pacing. We've been killing ourselves trying to figure out how to take care of you. Christopher lost sleep over your bills. And you've been secretly rich the whole time? I wasn't secretly rich. I just didn't tell you about money that's none of your business. Christopher leaned forward. But Mom, we're your sons. Of course it's our business. We're your family. Then why did you try to have me declared incompetent? Why did you file a false APS report? Why did you break into my apartment? Silence. I didn't break in, Christopher said weakly. No? Then who did? More silence. The letter says we have conditions to meet, Melissa said, changing tactics. What conditions? You'll find out. George is drafting the formal agreement now. You'll receive it in 5 days. 5 days? Mom, come on. Just tell us. No. Christopher's voice broke. Please, we're sorry about the dinner. About everything. Can't we just start over? Start over? Christopher, you threatened me with legal guardianship. Your wife called me embarrassing in my own son's home. You ransacked my apartment. Why would I trust you? Because I'm your son. He was crying now. Real tears. I made mistakes. I let Melissa push me. I was desperate. We're broke, Mom. Completely broke. I know. You've been broke for 6 months. I've been paying your rent. His face went white. What? $18.50 a month for 4 years. Direct to the landlord. You thought it was your money paying it. It was mine. Melissa made a sound like she'd been punched. You've been paying our rent? Without telling us? I wanted to see if you'd ever ask how you were managing to afford an apartment on no income. You never did. You just kept spending. Melissa's face turned red. You had no right. I had every right. It was my money, my choice. And last week I stopped paying. Christopher stood up. What? I canceled the payments. You have 30 days before eviction. You can't do that. I already did. He stared at me, then at Melissa, then back at me. Where are we supposed to go? I don't know, Christopher, but you're 48 years old. Figure it out. They left. Melissa slammed the door. 2 days later, Linda showed me her phone, a Facebook post from Melissa's friend. Oh my God, you guys. Melissa just tried to write me a check for $18,000 for kitchen renovations, and it bounced. I'm taking her to small claims court. Never trust people who live above their means. The post had 200 likes and 83 comments. Linda grinned. Karma's a bitch. What kitchen renovations? Apparently they were planning to remodel, betting on your money to cover it. My phone rang. Christopher. I answered this time. Mom, we're in trouble. Real trouble. Melissa wrote checks we can't cover. I lost my job this morning. They found out about the APS thing. Said it showed moral character issues. We have nothing. Please. Christopher, I gave you every chance. You chose greed. I chose wrong. I know that now. But please don't let us end up on the street. Something in his voice made me pause. Not the manipulation. Real fear. The conditions, I said. When George sends them, you read every word. You follow every instruction. And maybe, I'll help you. Anything. I'll do anything. We'll see. I hung up. 3 days later, George sent the formal letter to both Christopher and Jason. The conditions were simple. 1. Public written apology to me, posted on social media. 2. 100 hours of community service at a senior center. 3. Mandatory family therapy, twice a week for 6 months. 4. Complete financial transparency. All bank statements, all debts, all assets reported monthly. 5. 0 contact with me unless I initiate it. Complete all 5 within 60 days, and they'd each receive 20% of the trust. Fail any condition, and they'd receive nothing. Jason called within an hour. This is blackmail. No, Jason. It's a test. I'm not doing public humiliation for money. Then don't. Your choice. You're a real piece of work, Mom. He hung up. Christopher called 2 hours later. I'll do it. All of it. Whatever it takes. What about Melissa? Long pause. Melissa doesn't get a vote. This is between you and me. For the first time in years, I heard my son instead of Melissa's puppet. Okay, Christopher. Then prove it. Christopher posted his apology on Facebook 3 days after receiving the conditions. I want to publicly apologize to my mother, Ruth Anderson. I allowed greed and desperation to cloud my judgment. I threatened her, disrespected her, and treated her as less than human. She sacrificed everything for me, and I repaid her with cruelty. I'm deeply sorry and will spend the rest of my life making amends. It had 412 comments within an hour, most supportive, some calling him weak. A few from Melissa's friends calling him brainwashed. Melissa's response came 2 days later. George called me at 7 a.m. Ruth, Melissa filed for emergency guardianship. She's claiming you coerced Christopher, that you're mentally unstable, and that you're a danger to yourself. When's the hearing? Next Tuesday, 10 a.m. Judge Morrison. He's fair, but thorough. Good. Ruth, she has 3 witnesses lined up. This is serious. So am I. The courthouse smelled like floor polish and fear. George met me outside courtroom 3. He wore his best suit, carried 2 briefcases full of documents. Ready? Let's end this. Inside, Christopher sat on one side of the gallery, alone. Melissa sat on the other side with her lawyer, a slick-looking man in an expensive suit. Jason had flown in from Atlanta, sitting next to Melissa. Christopher's eyes met mine. He mouthed, "I'm sorry." I nodded. Judge Morrison entered. Late 60s, gray hair, reading glasses on a chain. He looked tired. This is a petition for emergency guardianship filed by Melissa Anderson on behalf of Ruth Anderson, age 71. Mrs. Melissa Anderson claims the respondent is suffering from dementia and is being financially exploited. Let's hear opening statements. Melissa's lawyer stood. Your Honor, Mrs. Ruth Anderson has exhibited clear signs of cognitive decline. She has cut off her family without explanation, made irrational financial decisions, and is currently under the influence of individuals who are isolating her from her support system. George stood. Your Honor, this is a textbook case of elder financial abuse. The petitioner and her family have attempted for months to gain control of Mrs. Anderson's assets through coercion, threats, and false reports to Adult Protective Services. Mrs. Anderson is of completely sound mind and is simply protecting herself from exploitation. Let's hear from the petitioner's witnesses. Melissa's lawyer called his first witness, a neighbor named Margaret Chen. Mrs. Chen, how long have you known Ruth Anderson? About 2 years. She lives in my building. Have you noticed any changes in her behavior recently? Yes. She used to be friendly, but lately she's been paranoid, suspicious. She accused my son of looking through her mail when he was just bringing it up from the lobby. George cross-examined. Mrs. Chen, were you aware that Mrs. Anderson's apartment was broken into and ransacked 2 weeks ago? I heard something about that. So her suspicion might have been justified? I suppose. Did Melissa Anderson ask you to testify today? Pause. She mentioned she needed help. Did she offer you anything in exchange? She said she'd watch my dog while I'm on vacation. Murmurs in the courtroom. Judge Morrison made a note. The second witness was Melissa's friend, Jennifer Wu. I've known Melissa for 3 years. She's told me about Ruth's declining mental state, the confusion, the memory lapses. George stood. Ms. Wu, have you ever met Ruth Anderson in person? No. So your entire testimony is based on what Melissa told you? Well, yes, but no further questions. The third witness was Christopher's name on the list, but when called, he didn't stand. Mr. Anderson? The judge prompted. Christopher looked at Melissa, then at me, then back at the judge. Your Honor, I can't do this. I won't testify against my mother. Melissa's face went white. Christopher, we talked about this. No, you talked. I listened like an idiot. But I'm done. He stood up, walked across the aisle, sat next to George and me. Melissa made a sound like a wounded animal. Judge Morrison raised an eyebrow. Mrs. Melissa Anderson, would you like to testify on your own behalf? She stood, took the stand. Her lawyer asked gentle questions. She cried on cue. Ruth has always been difficult, controlling. She refused reasonable help. She lived in poverty when she had millions. She's clearly not thinking straight. Then George stood for cross-examination. Mrs. Anderson, you called Adult Protective Services with a false report about Ruth, correct? I was concerned. Yes or no? Yes, but you broke into Ruth's apartment searching for financial documents? I never broke in. Then who did? Silence. George pulled out papers. I have phone records showing you called a locksmith the day of the break-in. I have security footage from a neighboring building showing you entering Ruth's apartment building at 2 p.m. and leaving at 3:45 p.m. Would you like to revise your testimony? Her lawyer objected. Judge Morrison overruled. Melissa's face crumbled. She was hiding things from us, from her own family. We had a right to know. You had a right to commit burglary. I didn't steal anything. You stole her privacy, her security, her peace of mind. George turned to the judge. Your Honor, I'd like to call a witness, Emma Anderson, the petitioner's daughter. Melissa gasped. No, she's a child. She's 14 and has relevant testimony. Emma walked in, small, scared, but determined. George was gentle. Emma, tell the judge what you heard your parents discussing. Mom said they needed to get control of Grandma's money before she gave it all away. Dad agreed. Mom said Grandma wasn't thinking clearly, and they had to act fast. Did your grandmother seem confused to you? No, she seemed sad and tired, but not confused. Thank you, Emma. Melissa's lawyer tried to discredit her. Your grandmother has been coaching you, hasn't she? No, sir. I came to warn her because what you're doing is wrong. Judge Morrison looked at Melissa, then at me, then at the stack of documents George had provided. I've seen enough. Mrs. Ruth Anderson, please stand. I stood. I've reviewed the psychiatric evaluation from Dr. Sarah Chen. I've reviewed the APS report. I've heard testimony from multiple sources. There is absolutely no evidence that you are incompetent. In fact, the evidence suggests you are protecting yourself from family members who have demonstrated predatory behavior. He turned to Melissa. Petition denied. Furthermore, I'm ordering both you and Jason Anderson to cease all contact with Ruth Anderson unless she initiates it. Any violation will result in a restraining order. Melissa collapsed in her chair, sobbing. Jason stood up. This is garbage. You can't. Mr. Anderson, one more word and you'll be in contempt. Jason walked out. Christopher approached me in the hallway. Mom, I'm so sorry. For everything. I should have protected you from her. From myself. Yes, you should have. Can we fix this? Please? I looked at my son. Really looked at him. He'd lost weight. Had circles under his eyes. But something else had changed. The puppet strings were cut. Complete the conditions, all of them. Then we'll talk. I will. I promise. That evening, Jason called. Mom, I know some things. About Dad. About money he hid. Things you wouldn't want Christopher to know. Jason, are you blackmailing me? I'm just saying, maybe we should negotiate privately, without lawyers. What do you think you know? Dad had another account, in the Caymans. I found paperwork when I was cleaning out the garage years ago. I actually laughed. Jason, that account was closed in 2008. Robert brought that money back and paid taxes on it. It's in the trust documents. Nice try. Silence. You've got nothing, I said, and you just showed me exactly who you are. I hung up. Linda found me on her porch with bourbon. How do you feel? Free. And Christopher? We'll see. He's got 57 days left to prove himself. You think he will? I looked up at the stars, the same stars Robert and I used to watch. I think he might. For the first time in years, I think he actually might. 57 days later, Christopher sent me a photo. Him in a blue volunteer vest at Sunset Senior Center, surrounded by elderly residents. He was smiling. A real smile. Not the forced one from family photos. The text read, Hour 98 of 100. Mrs. Patterson says I'm a natural. Thank you for making me do this. I showed Linda. She wiped her eyes. You going soft on me? I asked. Maybe. Or maybe some people deserve a second chance. The divorce papers arrived at Christopher's apartment on day 42 of his 60-day trial. He called me. I broke my own rule and answered. Mom, Melissa filed for divorce. She wants half of everything, which is nothing since we're broke. What are you going to do? Let her have it. The nothing, I mean. I don't want to fight anymore. Christopher, you sound different. I am different. Working at the senior center, hearing their stories. There's a woman there, Gloria, 86 years old. Her son put her in a nursing home and emptied her accounts. She cries every day. His voice cracked. I almost did that to you. I almost became him. But you didn't. Only because you stopped me. Day 60 arrived on a Tuesday. George sent me the completion certificates. All 5 conditions met. 100 hours community service, completed. Public apology, posted and maintained. Family therapy, 24 sessions attended. Financial transparency, every statement submitted on time. No contact unless initiated. 0 violations. He did it, George said. Every single requirement. I know. So what now? Now we see if it sticks. I invited Christopher to my new apartment. He didn't know I'd moved. Didn't know I'd used trust money to buy a place downtown. 2 bedrooms, river view, top floor. When he arrived, his eyes widened. Mom, this is beautiful. Robert and I always wanted a place like this. Took me 8 years to let myself have it. We sat on the balcony. I made coffee. Real coffee. Expensive. Not the cheap stuff I'd pretended to drink. I modified my will last week, I said. His face didn't change. Okay. 40% goes to charity, senior protection organizations, legal aid for elders, housing assistance. That's good. 30% goes into a trust for Emma. She gets access when she turns 25. She'll be smart with it. She's a good kid. 20% goes to you, with conditions. Now he looked at me. More conditions? You continue therapy for 2 years. You volunteer at the senior center 4 hours a week. And you visit me every Sunday for dinner. Mandatory. That's not a condition. That's a gift. My throat tightened. The last 10% goes to Jason. No conditions. He's still my son, even if he's a cold bastard. Christopher laughed. Actually laughed. Mom, you just called Jason a cold bastard. He earned it. We drank coffee in silence. Then Christopher spoke. What happened to Melissa? You don't know? I blocked her number. Her lawyer talks to my lawyer. She tried to sue me. Claimed I manipulated you. George destroyed her in depositions. She ended up owing $15,000 in legal fees. Good. She's living with her mother in Ohio, working retail. Her Instagram is private now. I don't care anymore. Is that terrible? No, that's healthy. Emma came for dinner the following Sunday. Christopher brought her. She hugged me at the door. Grandma, your apartment is amazing. You like it? Good, because one day part of it will be yours. Christopher helped me set the table. Emma told us about school. Normal conversation. Family conversation. After dinner, Emma went to the balcony to take photos. Christopher helped me with dishes. Mom, can I ask you something? Yes. Why did you and Dad pretend to be poor? Really? I dried a plate slowly. Because we wanted to know if you boys would love us without the money, if you'd take care of us because we were your parents, not your retirement plan. And we failed. You did, spectacularly. But you're giving me another chance anyway. Because that's what mothers do. We hope, even when hope seems stupid. He put down the dish towel, looked at me with wet eyes. I don't deserve this, any of this. Probably not, but maybe you'll grow into deserving it. He hugged me. I let him. 3 months later, I stood at Robert's grave again, this time in daylight, this time with flowers. Baby, I did it. I freed myself, just like you said. The stone was warm from the sun. Christopher is different now, really different. He works with seniors, listens to them, helps them. Emma visits every week. She's applying to colleges, smart as a whip. A bird landed nearby, hopped closer. Jason sent a card for my birthday. Just a card, no apology, no request for money. I guess that's progress. The bird flew away. Melissa is gone. Christopher signed the papers. He's living in a small studio, working as a counselor at a nonprofit. He says he's happier poor and honest than rich and fake. I touched the stone. I bought that apartment we always wanted, the one downtown with the river view. I drink good coffee. I wear nice clothes. I stopped pretending. Tears came. Not sad ones. Relief. But Robert, here's the thing. I don't know if I've forgiven Christopher. I've given him a second chance. I've let him back into my life. But forgiveness? That's harder. The breeze picked up. Maybe forgiveness isn't the point. Maybe the point is moving forward, building something new on top of the ruins. I stood up, brushed dirt from my knees. I'll keep talking to you, keep you updated, but I think I'm going to be okay now. I walked back to my car, the new one, the one I bought without apology. That evening, Christopher arrived for mandatory Sunday dinner. Emma was with him. They brought flowers, a chocolate cake. Emma had made a card that said, "Best Grandma." We ate, we laughed, we told stories. Christopher looked at me across the table. "Mom, thank you for not giving up on me. I'm your mother. That's the job." No, lots of mothers would have cut me off completely. You gave me a roadmap back. Emma squeezed my hand. "Grandpa Robert would be proud of you, Grandma." Maybe, maybe not, but I was proud of me, finally. After they left, I stood on my balcony. The river reflected city lights. The air smelled like jasmine from the planter Linda had given me. My phone buzzed. A text from Linda. "How was dinner?" I typed back, "Good, really good," she replied. "You happy?" I looked at the river, at the lights, at the life I'd finally let myself live. Getting there. Epilogue. 6 months later, Christopher completed his counseling certification. He now runs a support group for adult children recovering from toxic family dynamics. Emma got early acceptance to college, full scholarship. She wants to study elder law. Jason sent a Christmas card, just his signature, no message. I sent one back. Same. Melissa remarried, someone she met online. I heard through Facebook. I didn't look at the photos. And me? I'm 72 now. I volunteer at Sunset Senior Center twice a week. I mentor women who are facing what I faced. I tell them, you are more than your money. You are more than their mother. You are yourself, and that's enough. Christopher still comes every Sunday. We're building something new, not what we had before. Something different, maybe better, maybe just real. Forgiveness is complicated. Some days I look at him and see the man who threatened me. Other days I see the boy who used to bring me dandelions. Both are true, both exist. I'm learning to hold both. Robert's letters sit in a frame on my dresser, next to a photo of Emma, next to the deed to my apartment, next to the life I finally claimed. What would you do in Ruth's situation? Would you forgive your children or protect yourself first? Share your story in the comments. If this story moved you, consider supporting elderly abuse prevention organizations in your community. Remember, you are never too old to reclaim your life.